Today I'm going through two historic mining towns in Scotland. This one's called Broxburn, and I'm just going to walk around, kind of review it, talk to the locals, see what's happening and like what it was and what it's became. It is an old mining town. That's basically what's scattered all over West Lothian. And you know what, like this is one of the ones that are in better nick. Like, I mean, look at the car situation. There's way too many here, but you know, at least there's still like motion here, and there's like a fair few businesses that are still open. Across West Lothian, across Scotland, across the whole UK really, like there's obviously a huge decline in the high street. This place seems to be keeping up alright. But you know, what are the shops that are actually here? I mean, a lot of food spots, a lot of takeaway spots. I saw a few barbers earlier. Tell you what, some of these restaurants actually look pretty good. Pepe's there. Italian restaurant. I don't know, maybe we can find some locals to talk to that are, you know, want to tell us what's up. All right, not off to a very good start. So far, the locals I've tried to speak to aren't willing to talk to me for the camera. I feel like you have to be just a bit rude and just like shove the camera in people's faces to get this stuff popping. That may be what I need to do today. All right, so I've just ordered some food at this burger spot here, which I've actually had recommended. It's supposed to be quite good, so I'm going to review it. For those who don't know, I do food reviews on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. That's my forte. But yeah, I mean, like this is just symbolic of pretty much every former mining town. They're just filled with food places. But yeah, I mean, it's a very aged population. It's just all pretty much elderly people around here. And that's pretty much, that's going on everywhere, isn't there? Like, yeah, that's something that I really think is, people don't really talk about online, but that's part of what makes life difficult. Living in these types of areas is that if you're in like the kind of like 20 to 40 range, like what are you really supposed to be doing there? Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not really going to have much of a social circle or like group. You know what I mean? So it's like there's like a brain drain that happens in all these areas. Like people are just incentivized to move away to the cities and that. And you know, that I think that's a big reason why a lot of these areas just feel kind of lifeless, you know? So now I'm in, this is Broxburn in Scotland. It's an old mining town. Oh yeah, this is Uphall in Scotland. It's an old mining town similar to Broxburn. I'm with Matty, who actually lives here.
How we doing, team?
And we just got to get out with this one mic. Anyway, it's the same story, all these places, just old mining towns that are kind of, older people would say it's a shell of what it once was, a shell of what it once was. I don't know, what do you think? Like, how did you find what you grew up here then?
I think it's actually a really good area, bro, to be honest. It's actually quite quiet in comparison to other areas for sure. I think there is a slight lack of opportunity, hence doing what I do for a living now and trying to help other people kind of break the barriers that they have within the constraints of the area. So yeah, for sure, I think it's actually a really good place. I think it's really quiet, but I think there's definitely a lot of improvement that could be taken as well in terms of like the youth and in terms of opportunities.
Yeah, that's cool, because you know that's something that I wanted to touch on. But yeah, I mean, first, like, I mean, there's an incredible butchers here, like world class food here. Let's start with the positives. Like, what is going for this place? So, banging butchers, the good hairdressers there. This old church is actually, it's not the nicest one, I guess. Like, aesthetically, I'm sure interior is great, but I don't really like these. Like, see these like sandstone buildings. I don't know. But yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, so I want to talk about. I feel like also like the whole world is getting like, you know, digitalized, and it has been for a long time. I mean, you know, especially like any teens or like any teenager now is like their entire life has been brought up on the internet.
TikTok babies, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's interesting because these type of areas, it's, well, basically, like, so you're like a life coach, right? And like, I assume like you learned a lot of your philosophy, was it through the internet? Or maybe you can speak, like, how did you come to that philosophy? Like,
yeah, absolutely. So obviously we've grown up in the area, like I mentioned earlier on, with opportunity and like role models as well. Like, I think that we have a lack of role models in the area, do you know what I mean? I think that when I was growing up anyway in school, it was like, if you heard of someone being very successful, like typically it was somebody's relative and they were a family member and they were involved in drugs, etc. So we had a lack of role models. So with becoming a life coach, I really wanted to, it was to help myself to begin with, do you know what I mean? And then through helping myself, I then wanted to help other people after I actually did help myself, because I was in a very bad rut. So after doing so, I just wanted to spread as much knowledge and wisdom and awareness to other people as possible to change the community. Do you know what I mean? Because one day I'm going to have to bring kids into this community as well. So I think it makes sense to be promoting growth in every avenue possible.
Oh, wait. So actually, a couple questions off the back of that, I guess. The first two would be one, like, so do you see yourself like living and dying here? And two, like, a lot of your clients, are they local people or are they like from the wider world? Like,
Yep, absolutely. So some of the clients are local, some of the clients are a lot further away, Glasgow, etc. I do not see myself living or dying here. No, absolutely. I'll be out here relatively soon, just to grow, not because it's a bad area, but just to grow, just to be around other people that are kind of on the same journey. I remember you mentioning that you went to Bali and you noticed that the people around you were on a completely different frequency or mindset to how they are around here. So
if like you deep what you're saying, you know, I just think it's interesting, like this contrast between these, like, you know, old mining towns. And again, it's like, why do people complain that this place like feels dead or boring or whatever? It's because there's like no industry anymore here, right? There's like not many jobs, so just kind of like, you know, mostly just elderly people. So, you know, like all the new industry, a lot of it is online now. So it's kind of like, you know, what becomes of these areas? That's how I see it. Like when people whinge about town centres being super quiet now and all that stuff, I'm just like, well, yeah, because like retail is just, it's just not necessary to be there anymore. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like in the UK and that, because we're like so slow, like the government's so slow to adopt new stuff because it's such an old set of laws. That's why these spots, like places like Bali, like where you can just get a concentration of people working online, and like, you know, they change their laws every like 6 months, you know, because like they have a newer government that are quicker to act. Really? And like, yeah, and it's smaller too, so like that's kind of how I see it. But you know, I mean, I've had people say to me in that, like, why would you choose to live in this area for the rest of your life? Like, given that these days, like, flights are cheaper than ever, you know what I mean? Like, the knowledge is all there. Like, everyone knows now that you can, like, go to, say, like, Southeast Asia or South America, live there for, like, $1,000 a month and just, you know what I mean? Like, try and get something going. But,
yeah, why wouldn't you?
yeah, exactly. I guess to that I would say that, like, I still have, like, a deep connection to this place. You know, there's no place like home, and I mean, god damn, bro, like these buildings and like graveyards and stuff, like you won't get this anywhere else, that's for sure.
No, definitely, it's got soul. There is a bit of soul to it for sure.
Yeah,
there is a bit of soul to it for sure. There's a bit of age that does actually come into it as well. What was I like growing up? I was a lot different to what you see now, hence why I do what I do now, to be honest. I was a lot chubbier, didn't really fit in, I was ginger, had moved to school. So there's a lot of pain that there was a lot of pain created when I was growing up, to be honest, and that's why I do what I do now, is to remove that pain from people, identify why they have pain, and to fix it, and to change these beliefs. So, on you go.
So, mate, good question. Is like another thing in Scotland, the UK as a whole, people whinge about how you know, people try like, we don't like people that are too successful. We don't like fucking jokes. We don't like people reinventing themselves. So, for you to reinvent yourself in your hometown the entire time, like, was that tough? Like, how people reacted to it?
Oh, absolutely. It was. Yeah, it's definitely a challenge to do so. I think it's just all about, as I mentioned, your emotional drivers and what it means to you. Like, for example, I think a massive part of the change, quite a funny story actually, a massive part of my change was actually shaving my hair off, believe it or not. It's like, I think that was a major turning point in actually, like, not really giving a monkeys of what people think, to be honest. And for sure, I think that's a bit of a funny story. But besides from that, like, trying to change yourself in an area like this where people do have that sheep mentality and everybody kind of does like to do the same things, it can be difficult for sure, going through change. But I think just staying persistent and, like I mentioned, having the correct people around you, having the correct network. Your friends should be driving you forward and holding you accountable to things. So yeah, it can be difficult and challenging, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, cool. It's super interesting. Yeah, again, I'm kind of like fixated on the like, I get why people like resist change in small areas, and like and you know, like why all this like modern world and that is people don't want to hi, what's up? Like people don't want to accept that you know, things have changed in that, especially older people. Like they don't want to accept that these areas are kind of like you know, that less, you know, just probably going to just slowly decay, honestly, unless the government, like unless there's a big change. I don't see, you know, unless they make actual like useful use of the area. And you know, obviously, like I say, mate, it's just wacky. It's like, because of technology and internet and phones and that, like, you know, we have someone from this small part of Scotland like talking about the Hermetic principles, like, and like in the past, like you would have to like dig through a library, and only like, you know, only like 1.1% of the population would, like, that was literally like hidden wisdom, and now it's like everyone. Absolutely. So I don't know, I think that stuff's like dead, and you know, I think that's why
it's still very hidden, to be honest.
Yeah,
like it is still very hidden, to be honest. Like it's not something that you see people speak about every day or people act upon either, do you know what I mean? And they've designed that for a reason. Like they want everybody to be very much doom and gloom, talking about problems, etc. And that's why, like, I quite like to be the kind of the limelight for the area almost, you know what I mean? Like yourself, like just there, like you're walking by and people know you just off of the back end of what you do. Like I'd love to be known for changing people's lives and having a massive impact in my community. I think there's nothing else for it. There's nothing else that drives me more than that, actually, because it crosses over into other areas of your life. Like how hard you can work on yourself is how hard you can work on your family, your kids, your business, relationships, all of that above. So it's really important stuff, and it's just another important bit of reinforcement that like everything is actually at your disposal. Like everything is right at the tip of your finger. We've got the internet, we've got ChatGPT, we've got all of these things. And what's actually possible is we are limitless. Like we are completely limitless beings. So it's a massive bit of reinforcement. Everything is at the fingertips. We just have to apply it and actually use it.
But this is what, like a war memorial?
Yep.
War memorial, and then is that like what is that?
What's what?
That building there.
Oh, that's the health centre.
All right. Okay. So yeah, I think these are like two strong motifs to maybe talk about. We'll start with you, like, what's your opinion on like the NHS?
My opinion on the NHS, do you want me to be honest? I think that they're the biggest drug dealers in the whole town. I don't think that they actually want to help people. I think that their curriculum is based off of pills and pharmaceutical drugs. I don't feel like they actually want to solve the root problem of disease. I believe that they actually create it in the foods, in the air, and the stuff that we put in our body, especially with all the cheap dopamine that's in the world today. With phones, TikTok, porn, junk food, it's absolutely everywhere. When we feel really drained, we're more unhealthy, do you know what I mean? We're more susceptible to wanting to do these things more. When you scroll on TikTok, you find yourself a couple hours later scrolling on TikTok. When you eat a bit of junk food, you find yourself wanting another bit of junk food. So it's a repeating cycle, and I believe that these people help keep you in that cycle, to be honest.
You're kind of like disagreeing with the fundamentals of it, but I'm saying, like, even if, let's say that like the medicine does work and it's good, I mean, it's like overstretched, like it's really hard to see a doctor.
Exactly, you can't get an appointment or anything like that. It's quite difficult.
Yeah, and it's super cooked. Like, you know, like if people come to us like on a visa and that, like people that come here on a visa, like they have to they have to spend, it's like they have to pay like $3-4 grand to go towards the NHS, like everyone that moves here. So like it's like half the price of actually moving here goes to the NHS, and like they're pretty bad. I mean, like the local hospital here, like St. John's, is like, it's an absolute joke. And that's the bottom line, bro. Because a lot of my videos on socials and that, like I try to be really positive. I try to focus on the positives of the country, but it's hard sometimes when like all the systems are just melting. Like they're just like not fit for purpose, so they say. Something funny is obviously I do food reviews primarily, and I remember realizing a while ago that like food is like one of the few growing industries like in Scotland, it seems. Yeah. Like it's just takeaways cropping up everywhere. Like they're the ones actually employing people and stuff now, which is nuts, especially in these areas. And there's an element to that too, where like a lot of it is unhealthy and stuff. But like exactly. People here, it just doesn't seem like people have like self-control. And trust, like it's addictive. Like I review it and stuff. Like it's hard for me. Like I've gained hella weight since starting to eat it and stuff, because it's like hard to put down. Like you do get hooked on it as well. It's mental. Okay, so here's a fun one. So you're big on the self-improvement stuff, right? Yeah. So say someone living in an area like this, right? They lock in with like the gym and their health and all that. Yeah. They start going hard, but then it's like, but how much of a change does it make when they step out and like all they see is like old people and like takeaways and like ran down areas and like crime and stuff, like how much can that really change them? That's a good question for you.
Yep, it absolutely can make an impact, but we need to remember that life has absolutely no meaning until we attach a meaning to it. So life is completely meaningless until you attach a meaning to it. So you can step out your house and you can have in your mind, see, what I want to actually give a powerful bit of reinforcement on is gratitude. That question really links to gratitude. See, the more grateful you are for the things that you have in and around your life, the less that you actually notice the things like the crime, the things like the mucky roads, the things like the not so good workplaces and establishments, etc. Because when we focus on these things, we have a part in our brain called the reticular activating system. So have you ever heard of maybe the red car theory, right? Where somebody might say, oh Matty, I'm going to get a red Audi. What will I start seeing loads of? Either red cars or lots of Audis. That's when your reticular activating system is in full swing. So when your focus is constantly on the negative in your area, like all the things I just mentioned, like potentially the people, potentially the places, the workplaces, the elderly, all of these things, when your focus is on that, your reticular activating system's only going to notice all of these things, okay? That's how this works. But when you are grateful every single day and you look at how much you have, because realistically, I know it's a deprived area, but realistically we are so abundant. Like, we are very, very abundant. Like, we've both got clothes on our backs, we've both got a crazy mic, we both have this device in our hand that's been created somehow. We can phone people from a different country and communicate with people across the world. This has been created, so we actually need to be very grateful for all the things that we have in our life. And when we become more grateful, all these things we're grateful for start to run to us in abundance. So it's super, super important to keep your focus on gratitude and the good things around you.
Obviously you can change your life no matter where you are. Like, people go into, say, prison, they spend like the first year of prison like just getting high and like being a degenerate, and then they like, say, lock in, start reading books, you know, doing courses, like they come out of prison like a changed person. So, you know, but obviously again, I will say that fundamentally though, like, you know, humans lack of friction, and there does feel like there's a lot of friction in Scotland, the UK, to get yourself going, you know what I mean? Like setting up a business, there's tons of friction. Going to the hospital, there's tons of friction. Getting a car, there's tons of friction. Like, where, you know, you can just hop somewhere like Thailand, just like no, like lawless, like no, you know what I mean? Like just set up everything rapid style.
Seamless. Yeah, absolutely. It's seamless, isn't it? Like we mentioned earlier on, it's all a deliberate thing as well. So it's all been designed this way to keep us in a state of anxiety and fear.
All right, so now we're coming to this. This is like an old hotel, but there's like a sauna here. You know, whoever sees this video that we're gonna put, like, if you had like one message for them, like one message to the youth, like the people that might see this, like fun, like if you could like summarize like what you would want to get across to people, like, and like, you know, maybe a sentence or two.
Just be grateful for everything you have. Place your focus on the goal and have a solution-based thinking rather than problem-based thinking.